finally some good soup to wash out the terrible taste of Secret Invasion. Wow, friends, Loki, season 2. The gods looked down on us, the Marvel gods, and they smiled. I mean, Loki looked down on us and smiled. He's a god, so he's one of those Marvel gods that we're talking about here today. I don't even know. I'm so excited. There's so many things I want to talk about. I'm going to try to just give you a very quick little summary of just what I just saw. Basically, Loki is back. Loki discovers I don't know anyone here, which we saw at the end of the last season. Also, thank you for that recap. That was a recap I very much valued and needed and was like, oh yeah, that was crazy what happened last season. That's good to remember everything. Loki discovers that he is basically jumping back and forth between these two places. And initially he thinks he's like basically in like an alternate future where Kang has taken hold of everything. But then he realizes, no, this isn't an alternate future. This is the past. What? So yeah, Loki is basically time slipping and he needs that fixed. Fortunately, he's able to, in the, the future where people actually know who he is, get help, and he goes to Obi, who he also paradoxically gives the name of, since Obi is short for Ouroboros, and they call him Obi. And then he goes basically back into the past, and when he meets him, he says Obi, and then Obi basically is like, oh, I like that. That's a good version. We'll talk about Obi in a minute. We got to talk about that. And then, yeah, they basically try to help him, get him back out of the time stream, which they do, and also deal with the fact that all of these timelines are diverging and what to do with that, and do they prune them or not. And the consensus is basically, no, we're not going to prune them, but also they are making everything crazy. So let's all go hunt Sylvie. Dun, dun, dun. And that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about in there. Mainly, I would love to start by talking about, one, I mean, obviously I'm super excited for Kang. I feel like with Loki, we actually feel like we have a heading with the MCU, which is something that I really love about this show. It gives me a sense of wonder. It gives me a sense of mystery. It gives me a sense of purpose. And right now that purpose is Kang. I see it clearly. I think Kang is a really cool choice for our next sort of big villain. And I'm really hoping that this show continues to plant those seeds and that the films actually grow that. But time will tell. Hopefully the show continues to be good and it's not like Secret Invasion, and by the end of it I'm coming back to this review being like, oh, you sweet summer child. But I don't think so. Granted, I did say that about Secret Invasion in my first video, I feel like. But I digress. My favorite character, I think, so far, and that I think is stealing the show this season for new folks, obviously has got to be Obi, which I knew was going to happen. Steals every single scene he is in. What a fun character. I just love everything about the character, the performance. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's just stellar. I'm hoping though by the end of this show that we're not like, Loki should be called Obi. But also we should get an Obi show. I'm here for that. So Marvel, if you want to do that spinoff, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Hey friends, it is Amanda here from the future. You can tell because now I have glasses on. And I just wanted to let you know before we continue on with my past Loki Season 2, Episode 1 review, that I have memberships here on the channel. And if you wanted to check them out, we do a members video once a week. You can also get priority comment responses. That means that I look at your comments before anyone else's and respond to them first. And you also just get the benefits of knowing that you support the channel, which also helps me to make more content, helps me to do things like pay editors and do all that good stuff. And you get emotes. So it's basically, it's pretty cool. You get a Jeff emote. You get Jeff the land shark in emote form. Who doesn't want this in emote form? Look at this cutie. Look at this cutie patootie. You could have this. So that is that's what we're selling. I don't know if you're buying, but I'm gonna send it back now in time to pass Amanda. Ah! I think the amazing part of Loki and some of my favorite things in the MCU, some of my favorite projects, is that it starts off so strong because it immediately starts with a mystery and immediately takes us on a journey where we have to figure things out with the characters. And I know we talk about Marvel and the MCU as being something where people feel unsatisfied because there's no greater purpose. Like, everything has to be a smaller piece of a bigger puzzle. But I think ultimately what that's actually about, the more that I think about it, I think it's really about us having a journey with the characters. And what the mystery does is it takes us on a journey with Loki as he's figuring everything out. So are we with him. So it just connects you to the story, the characters in a really intimate way that when you can anticipate stuff you don't have, right? And so I don't think it's necessarily about like we always need to have a mystery or we always need to have like this big map of things. It's more, well, we kind of do need to have a mystery. We need to have stuff that we discover with the characters. That's it. So there needs to be moments where as things are happening, we're experiencing them too with Loki. And this show does that right off the bat. Immediately, Loki is in this place. No one knows who he is. We thought this is an alternate future. We see the Kang statues. We see, oh no, this is what happened because of the choices he made at the end of season 1. And that's what we think. But it turns out that this is the past. We find that out through Loki going back to a time where people recognize who he is. And he notices that stuff that he has interfered with in the past or observations he's made in the past have basically come through time, like the floor being, cracked, which he was the one that cracked the floor when he crashed in through the window. And he says, wait, has that always been there? And they're like, yeah. And Casey says, yeah, that's always been there. Also, I love that Casey's back. Casey, so many great characters in this. Oh, it's so fun. And that idea of, yeah, this is what's happening. You're like, wait, so like, what does that mean? And now there's a whole bunch of other implications that Loki is also thinking about, that you're thinking about, and you're trying to figure out sort of what's going on with him, which is powerful. This is very much a time travel show through and through, and that is something I really appreciate about it. It is an ode to sci-fi, classic sci-fi. It gives me feels of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. At one point I got like Matrix vibes from this when Loki's in the hallway and the phone is ringing and the lights are flickering and he's walking down the hallway and you don't really know like when he is. It's it gave me chills. It's so good. It looks amazing. And I'm just so happy to be back in this world. It's so well designed. It's so, like, every element of it feels like it's so well thought through. So well produced. And that is something I really appreciate about this series. I'm so happy we're back. MCU, I miss you. I've seen some good stuff still in between, but man, Loki's so good. And of course, once again, the end of the episode ends with we're hunting down Sylvie, which I did think to myself, oh, so we're hunting Sylvie again, because that was also the premise of season 1. But I kind of love it because even though it does, like in other projects, I would feel like it's repetitive. In a time travel show, it just kind of feels like a hilarious, like, thing that when you think about it, you're like, oh, of course. It's like everything is a loop. I feel like loops actually might end up being the theme of the season somewhat, because we've already had the paradox. We have the Ouroboros, or Obi, who is literally like a loop. A closed loop. Yeah, I'm just feeling like that might be a crucial theme, this idea of time loops and things circling and things looping. Even the M in McDonald's has a form of a loop. It's not really a loop. But if you folded the M, it could be a loop. Got to get that product placement in. Also, I literally had nuggets before we watched this, and that was perfect for me. For this episode, do I have any qualms? I have 2 qualms, but they're very small. One of them is like a future concern, which is just that Loki in this show doesn't feel as much Loki as he did in season 1. Kind of just feels like a guy running through everything. He's like Mr. Protagonist. Things are popping up. He's like, I don't know where I am. He's the fish out of water. Which is a little weird considering he is the trickster, the god of lies, the god of stories, if you prefer. And you would think with Loki that he might have like a bit of a better handle. But I also feel like at the beginning of season 1, Loki isn't aware of what he's gotten into. So he is very much Loki because he's anticipating, I'm just going to get out of this. But at this point, I think the stakes have been raised to a point where the fact that these people that he's actually gotten close to don't recognize him, the fact that Mobius doesn't recognize him is like deeply upsetting, and I think shakes him. And then the fact that he's going back and forth and that he may have literally like broke the multiverse is like, yeah, that's pretty intense. So I can kind of understand why he's just running through trying to figure stuff out. So I am hopeful that we'll get more amazing Loki moments through this season. And I think this is just, this is episode 1. We also have a lot of other people to introduce. So of course the focus is going to be on Loki being Loki as much in this episode. But we'll see. Just planning that there in case it does go the other way. And the other thing is B5, I think his name is. I just gotta look this up. B5? Hunter X5, I think is his name. Yeah, X5. Oh my gosh. And he has it on his gloves. He's just like the biggest like jerk coming in. And he was written for us to dislike him because he immediately comes in and makes fun of Mobius's love of jet skis, which we all hold near and dear to us. The writers know this. They know. They play with our hearts so cruelly. And so, of course, we're supposed to hate X5 because coming in making fun of jet skis, making fun of Mobius, who we also love. Rude. So that's what I have to say about that. He does feel kind of stereotypical, but I also feel like Loki I trust as being a show that introduces us to people that we think are stereotypical, and then we get layers to them as we get to know them. You think you know what it is, but you don't really know. That's kind of, I feel like, the theme of Loki as well. So hopefully, X5 will get a little bit more depth because I don't want him to just be stereotypical jerk guy the entire time because that's boring and predictable and yeah, just not very interesting. That's about it. I really enjoyed the episode though. I think for episode 1, I mean, it's really close. Like, this is almost perfect. I mean, a little bit more Loki would have been nice. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10. It's really close to being 10 out of 10 though. Like, I'm right on the cusp. So yeah, I guess we'll do 9 out of 10 Loki variants for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, friends, stay nerdy and watch out for variants. They're everywhere, those variants. You gotta watch out for them.